Rewind to before the last election and take you back to the policy that you had then. What was the logic that drove Labor to say that retail power prices would fall by $275 if we put more variable renewable energy on the grid?
Well, as you know, Chris, that was some 2020 modelling based on an outcome in 2025. And you have followed closely, and we all read intently, that some of the developments in the global economy, particularly a major conflict in Eastern Europe, put extreme...
That happened in February, you were elected in May, the wholesale power price had gone up before.
Yeah, if you just let me finish my answer, Chris, it's not a good start. The rest of my answer is that a combination of global pressures and cost of living pressures here at home meant that we have seen that there was some turbulence in energy markets, global and domestic. And so that referred to some modelling in 2021 about an outcome next year. It's 2024 right now. In the interim, we're providing 2 loads of energy bill relief. Every household will get $300 off their energy bills in the second half of this year. At the same time as we get the longer-term building blocks in, recognising that the cheapest source of new energy is renewable.
Is it? Because is that how electricity is priced on the marketplace? Isn't it priced by the highest cost of generation, not the lowest cost of generation? As we saw last night, was cold, still night, the price of electricity went to $350 a megawatt hour. So isn't the entire equation wrong?
No. And my colleagues will no doubt take the opportunity later on to talk about this in a bit more detail. I think every serious person in this conversation recognises, first of all, we need new capacity, and second of all, when it comes to new investment in the network, the cheapest form is renewable. And that's what our policy is based on. And Chris Bowen will talk to you all about this later this morning. I'm sure you're looking forward to that as well. But our approach is the economically orthodox, economically sound approach. It's consistent with what a lot of other countries are doing in the context of this global net zero transformation.
But it's not the way that electricity is priced, though, is it? So in the end, we're going to pay the total system costs for electricity, aren't we?
Well, one of the things that we are paying the price for right now is the fact that much more capacity came out of the system than went in under the life of the former government. And we are paying the price for that. I think that's self-evident, that is clear. And so once you come to that conclusion and you accept our responsibility to add more capacity to the market, to the grid, then you work out the way that makes the most economic sense, and that's what we're doing.
So is the trajectory of electricity prices under your plan going up or down?
Well, we've seen in the most recent data that the prices have stabilised. I think some of that recent data was very encouraging. I've already acknowledged in, I think, your first question, that there was a lot of volatility in energy prices. That was one of the reasons why we've got this inflation challenge in our economy. But the most recent pricing data has been more encouraging. Our responsibility is to give that near-term relief, and we are. Our responsibility is to add more capacity to the network, and we are. And our responsibility is to grab the big economic and industrial opportunities in the world, and we're doing that too.
And as you add more generation, which is variable, you have to add more transmission lines, and isn't 40% of everyone's retail bill transmission costs? So isn't the price of electricity on the way up from here?
This is the key motivation for our Rewiring the Nation policy. You know, we recognise that there's a generation challenge that has been exacerbated by a wasted decade. There's a generation challenge and there's a transmission challenge. And Rewiring the Nation is about addressing the transmission challenge in our economy. And again, to do that in the most economically responsible way.
But it does add to the cost of an electricity bill, doesn't it?
Well, in every system, part of the cost is transmitting the electricity that is generated.
So prices
in every
going
system.
up. But the thing I'm trying to get to here is that there is no future at the moment, either your policy or the coalition's policy, under which the price of electricity returns to sort of $50 a megawatt hour. It's not going to happen, is it?
Well, I can only refer you to the answers I've given you already. First of all, very encouraging recent data about the price of electricity. Yes, we need to deal with generation, we are. Yes, we need to deal with transmission, we are. Every country has some combination of these challenges. The difference is we've got a better almost unique combination of advantages which will help us deal with it.
But if the trajectory of electricity prices is up, and that's the long-term trajectory over the last decade or so, can Australia afford to be a high energy cost economy and a high wage economy and compete in making things like solar panels?
Well, we are providing energy bill relief, so everybody will save $300 on their household electricity bill from the second half of this year into the first half of next. That's the first point. We understand this is one of the pressures that people are under. That's why we did more than acknowledge that in the budget. We responded to it for the second time, and that's been important. And we also know we've got to add more transmission, we've got to add more generation. We're doing that too. Every country has some combination of energy challenges. As Michelle quoted you in the introduction, I think you're broadly right to say energy is absolutely fundamental to everybody's economic prospects. The difference for us is we've got a different combination of advantages and we are leveraging them to respond.